Welcome to Sharika Talks, Unraveling the Truth, a journalist's quest. Subscribe for the truth.
Chapter 42, The Fire That Should Never Have Burned. Sachin froze in his train seat, Adam's words echoing like a detonated bomb inside his skull. That child died this morning. He jumped up, grabbed his bag, and got off at the next station, Coimbatore, without even thinking, his mind a whirlwind of shock. He immediately hailed a taxi to the airport. His hands trembled as he booked the earliest COVID special flight to Patna, overpaying exorbitantly to secure a seat. As he settled into the seat, the images of Sonam Pandey, her bright eyes, her infectious giggle as she pulled at his hair, her clumsy attempts to teach him Bhojpuri, played on a loop in his mind. Sonam. Little Sonam. He couldn't see that little girl's laugh anymore. He couldn't reconcile those vibrant memories with Adam's cold words. Dead. Why? How? Adam hadn't given specifics, and the silence surrounding the cause gnawed at him. During the 2.5-hour flight, which felt like an eternity, guilt consumed him. 6 months ago, in his own haze of grief, he hadn't thought to bring her to his campus in Kerala immediately. He felt responsible. Was she ill? If yes, why hadn't her parents used the contact numbers he provided? Did they try? Did something happen? Why was Adam being so cryptic? A familiar, unsettling sensation crept over him, the same driving force that had birthed Deep Enterprises. 10 years ago, his dream had been to give every kid a fighting chance. His organization had grown into a self-sustaining titan capable of changing the world. Yet sitting here now, he realized that despite his billions, despite his reach, he had failed to give one little girl a fighting chance. Every child deserves a fighting chance. Every child deserves a life. Yet this one slipped away. Then, like a fool's whisper, something irrational crept into his mind, the mythology Rocky spoke about. If Shiva is the god of death, does that mean Sonam's soul is with him now? And then a darker thought. Can an Agori bring a soul back? Can they disturb the realm of death? He felt ashamed of these desperate, unscientific wanderings. Grief, he realized, makes men believe in anything to escape the permanence of loss. That sensation of helplessness forces one to trust in a higher power. The flight landed under the afternoon sun of Patna. Sachin quickly disembarked, flashing his COVID-negative certificate at the gate, and rushed outside. Balbandar Singh was waiting for him in a jeep, accompanied by a Satyajit Foundation operative. The towering Sikh looked grim, his usual stoicism replaced by a tense unease. Sachin sensed immediately that Adam, understanding Sachin's volatile emotional state, had briefed Balbandar carefully. Sachin climbed into the back seat without a word. Balbandar Singh also sat facing him in the back. The jeep wove through the city traffic, heading toward the rural outskirts. The silence was heavy, suffocating. Finally, as the cityscape gave way to dusty fields, Balbandar exhaled heavily. Sachin, before we reach there, you must understand the reality here. The intensity of religion in these rural belts. It's not like the world you know. For these people, it is the air they breathe. What are you talking about? Sachin asked, a knot of unease tightening in his stomach. That child, the one you were close to. Balbandar paused, searching for words. He wasn't a man who struggled to speak, but now he looked broken. She was killed, murdered. He took a breath. By her own parents. What? By who? The sound ripped from Sachin's throat, a cry of pure disbelief. Most of the girls from that batch you rescued, they were taken from their villages in the name of God, Balbandar explained, his voice low. Traffickers convinced the parents that their daughters were selected for God's righteous will, for divine service. These illiterate villagers, believing it completely, sent their children away with open hearts, thinking it would satisfy their gods and that their children would receive divine blessings. Sachin listened, paralyzed, as if struck by lightning. I guess you knew that part, Balbandar continued, but you don't understand the depth of their religious fear. In this specific case, Her parents were blaming themselves because the child came back. They were terrified they had angered the gods by accepting her return. Neighbors fanned the flames. And then, within a month, the COVID pandemic hit. They believed the whole pandemic was caused because that little girl didn't obey God's will. What? How can someone believe such bullshit? Sachin's voice trembled, rage pumping through his veins like fire. This is exactly why Adam warned me. You have to calm your nerves, Sachin. These villagers live in a different reality. They want God's goodwill above all else. Traffickers exploit this. Superstition fuels it. Last month, Balbandar continued, a local black magic practitioner convinced the parents that the child's soul was marked for Shiva, that she must be returned to him to protect the world. He agreed to perform a ritual to protect the world, but God's due had to be paid. The girl's soul belonged to Shiva as she was marked once, and they believed him completely when the nationwide COVID lockdown started lifting last week. So, before dawn broke today, as part of the ritual, her own father slit her throat. Sachin closed his eyes, taking a deep, shuddering breath as the horrific image burned into his mind. If you knew this might happen, why are we returning these girls to their parents? Sachin asked in a pained voice. I guess you yourself understand the answer to that question. How many children we could hold in our facilities without proper government approval and infrastructure? Moreover, not all children's parents treat them the same when they are returned, Balbindar Singh said. Sachin remained silent. He knew the legal problems involved in getting approval for such a permanent shelter and the infrastructure it needed. The influence of these trafficking nexuses in the higher echelons of government would definitely not approve such a permanent shelter easily. The children the Satyajit Foundation rescues every year are counted in the thousands. He knew that. Like all parents, her father loved her too, Balbindar added softly. We never expected they would take her life. It's the first time we've seen something like this happen. Unfortunately, in their eyes, God overruled everything. They believe they rescued that kid from hell. Because he slit her throat, they think he sent her to heaven. Sachin couldn't speak. He didn't care about their twisted logic. He wanted to kill that father. If the purpose of a parent was to protect, then that man had forfeited his right to exist. You have to stay calm, Balbindar warned, glancing at Sachin's tightly curled fists. In the name of religion, these villagers will unite. Any provocation will result in a riot. I am taking you here only because you insisted on seeing her one last time. Sachin nodded stiffly, drawing on years of martial arts discipline to cage the beast screaming inside him. The jeep halted in front of a desolate stretch of land marked by a small, rusty board in Bhojpuri, a cremation ground. The warm orange light of the setting sun spilled across the land. There were no fences, just a dirt road leading into a vast field pockmarked with ash-filled pits. A cold breeze from a distant river brushed past Sachin's face, carrying the scent of smoke and decay. About 50 meters away, a crowd of about 50 men stood huddled together. Smoke rose from a pyre in the distance. His heartbeat spiked. Was it over? He half ran, half walked toward the spot, Balbindar following close behind, watching him. Among the crowd, he recognized Sonam Pandey's father. His first instinct was to tear the man apart, but he controlled himself, shoving his way through the murmuring crowd to see the child's face one last time before the fire claimed her completely. The sight that greeted him shattered his sanity. He was late. The corpse had been burning for several minutes. But the horror wasn't the fire, it was the interruption. A man in black robes, heavy with iron chains and ornaments, the black magician probably, stood to the side. But around the pyre stood 7 ash-smeared men with long beards and untidy hair, Agoris. They were chanting something in a language no one understood. And in the center, standing in the dying fire, was another Agori. He was stamping out the flames with his bare feet and hands, using ash from the pyre's edge. As the fire died down, revealing the charred, half-burnt body of the little girl, the man reached down. He grabbed the corpse. The flesh, cooked and soft, tore easily. He pulled at the head. With a sickening sound of tearing muscle and snapping cartilage, the head separated from the small body. Without hesitation, the Agori lifted the severed head and began to eat the sizzling brain straight from the exposed skull cavity. That was the moment Sachin snapped, his memory of what followed fragmented into shards of red rage. It was Balbandar Singh who filled in the blanks later. He roared, a primal sound without words, pushing through the men in front of him. He struck the girl's father's face as he passed. The crowd, fueled by religious fervor, surged forward to engulf him, swarming him like ants. Bang! Balbandar Singh fired a shot into the sky. The sound froze the mob for a heartbeat. Balbandar roared at the crowd to back off, gun raised. But Sachin didn't stop. He had only one aim now, the Agori, the monster defiling the child. The man who wouldn't even leave the child's lifeless, burned body alone. He rushed toward the pyre. The Agoris didn't even look up. They continued their grisly ritual as if the violence around them didn't exist, deaf to the gunshot and the screams. The central figure had finished the brain, took out the popped eyeballs, and was now methodically cleaning the small skull, separating it from the remaining flesh. It took the combined strength of more than 10 villagers, who were now blocking him rather than attacking, and Balbandar Singh, whose strength equaled 5 men to restrain Sachin. He fought like a demon, raging, kicking, screaming. "Start the jeep! Now!" Balbandar shouted to the driver. They dragged Sachin, thrashing and cursing, back to the jeep. The driver gunned the engine, tires spinning in the dirt, tearing away before more villagers could descend. As the jeep sped away, Sachin looked back through tear-filled, furious eyes. The Agori in the center continued his feast, methodically snapping each small charred bone from the flesh of what used to be a little girl named Sonam. End of chapter 42.
Thank you for watching Unraveling the Truth, A Journalist's Quest. Subscribe to stay updated on Sharika's journey. Stay tuned for the next part.
Disclaimer. Unraveling the Truth, A Journalist's Quest is a work of fiction. The experiences, ideas, and theories presented by the characters, including the books they write, are purely fictional and do not reflect real-world events, beliefs, or ideologies. While some incidents and characters may be inspired by real-world scenarios, they are entirely fictionalized for storytelling purposes. The author does not endorse or share the viewpoints expressed by any character in this novel. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, or real events is purely coincidental. Viewer discretion is advised.